have some of the coolest subscribers. I meet some of the most awesome people through my YouTube channel. And this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So earlier you saw me working on this big old 50 MT out of the 3306 Power Pack. I was showing you how you have to put these rubber balls in these holes, adjust this, put silicone on this pin, put silicone here, replace the boot. All these things you have to do to try to make these so they don't leak. Well, a gentleman in Gillettte, Wyoming was watching me go through all that, and he called me and he said, "Jeff, I was watching your video and I was laughing." He says, "Because I've done thousands of these." And he said, "I had one come down and hit me in the nose." And so he had an idea and he patented his idea. And then he called the folks at Delco Remy and worked with the engineers there to make this happen. And what he did was he invented a leak-proof adapter to go on here. Now, you might say, well, okay, it's got an O-ring. How does that make it leak-proof? Well, these are the gaskets that go on these old 50 MTs. And I want to put this one on here. And what's the first thing you notice? They don't fit, and they don't cover those balls. They don't cover the screws, and they leak. And so what you end up doing is just putting tons of silicone on there. And because these starters are so heavy, they weigh 89 whopping pounds versus one of these that's only 31 pounds. This is so much lighter. This was a hell of a starter in its day. This is a hell of a lot better starter than this ever was. And the reason is for me, where I have Caterpillar industrial equipment and I'm going to this job and I can have no oil leaks, and these starters always leak. They're my biggest leak on those 3306s. This starter isn't very old, but you can see where we didn't get it totally cleaned off. The oil is pouring out of that rubber boot. It's the starter, and I'm always taking them off. I got a bag of these balls. I got pins. I got sleeves. I got everything because I'm always rebuilding them. This just uses an O-ring. Now, this doesn't go up against the housing. This fits just inside the bore, and that's what makes this fit so nice and snug in there. He's got adapters for the 3500 series Cat engines. What makes this cool is this starter is a gear reduction starter, and it has what they call soft start technology. And I'm going to link a bunch of videos down below in the description for you to go watch. And these are Delco Remy's videos explaining in more detail how these work. But their soft start technology is going to save this pinion gear, and it's going to save your flywheel ring gear. Some of the other features it has on it, it has overcrank protection, so you can't melt it. It has an IMS, which is an integrated magnetic switch. That way you don't need a great big key switch to run these. You just need one little small wire, and this solenoid is going to close. It's going to take these two heavy wires that have the main voltage in it to come and run your big solenoid. Anyway, this starter here weighs 31 pounds is all, compared to that 50 MT that weighs in at 89 pounds. Now, this starter will do everything that starter will, but this one is going to make your life a lot easier. Best starter you will ever buy right there. Now, I got another one right here. This is a 12-volt model, and this is going to go in my C15 in my Kenworth. Can't wait to get it in there and show you what it does compared to the other one. A couple years ago, we had to replace the starter that was in it. Looked like that big old cast iron behemoth there. I'm not kidding you. I said every swear word in the book ever invented, ever thought of, ever, and I said them all 10 times trying to get that huge, big, heavy starter up in there. I hated it. So I'm really looking forward to getting rid of it and putting this one in here. I think that's the coolest invention ever. Use lightweight material, use the technology that we have to make a better starter. I especially like this with no nose cone on it. I have a video in my 14G cat grader. Apparently somebody did not have the pinion adjusted correctly, and it slammed out, and eventually it broke this whole nose cone off. And this whole nose cone, when I found it, was laying on top of my ring gear. Look at that. Check this out. I guess that's why it don't start too good. Wow. I have never seen that before. Ever. This happens every time. Inside of that wet housing, and it had ground huge amounts of this metal off, and it went inside my transmission. That I was not happy about. But if you would like one of these starters for your Caterpillar equipment with Dean's invention on there to make it leak proof, there's only one place you're going to get that leak proof adapter, and that's through Brake Supply. They're headquartered back east, and I'm sure those of you back there know who they are. But if you want one of these leak proof ones, what you want to do is you want to call Brake Supply in Casper, and there's their phone numbers right there. Tell them you saw this on Jpaydirt. No, they're not paying me for this. Dean gave me these two starters, so I will say that. He's given me a hell of a lot of value right here. And Dean, I appreciate it. I love you for that. I mean, when I have subscribers that do stuff like this for me, I'm absolutely speechless and flabbergasted. I mean, all I can say is thank you. But if you want one of these, tell them that you saw this on Jpaydirt, and they may give you some kind of discount. I don't get anything out of it. I don't care. I have people that share so much knowledge and so much cool stuff with me that I want to give back and show you this cool stuff. So I'm not looking to make money off of this. I'm not going to. Dean, thank you so much for sending these to me. Now let's go put this sucker on and see how she spins over. One of the first things you're going to notice is how lightweight and easy this starter is to stick in the hole. Pretty simple, and they fit pretty nice. They fit nice and snug in the hole. So once you get it up in there, it just stays put. And with one hand you can wiggle the front around. You ain't doing that with a big old nasty 50 MT.
What the hell?
Oh, why did they make these out of lead? That might help. God. Holy shit. 50 MT was a good starter in its day, but it's nothing compared to this. This is an awesome starter. I didn't even know these things existed. Had no idea that they made a starter like this. Or I'd have had one a long time ago. No silicone all over the back of it. No smearing gaskets and silicones all over. No more scraping crap off and having it go in the hole. See, this is what I'm talking about right here. You see how you don't get the silicone? The gasket does not go down and fit. And so by the time you get it on there and squirmed around, all 89 pounds of it, you've tore your silicone, you've smeared it around. It's just got the O-ring. It's going to be clean when you bring it off. I'm hoping this is the last starter I ever put on here. The other cool thing that I like about this, I really like the nuts that they've put on these starters. I like this washer that pivots on here. Kind because it keeps your cables, when you try to tighten them down, it keeps them from turning. Okay, this is the wire that is gonna run this. So all I gotta do is touch it here, and we'll just crank it over. So it's got good cranking power. We had the furnace off in the shop yesterday and the day before. It got down to 52 degrees. So let's see if it'll pop off. We don't have glow plug power, so we may have to use some ether. Okay, be very quiet. Mama's downstairs. She hasn't got a clue what I'm doing in her sink again. So what time you gotta leave?
Do you want me out of here?
Nope. You going to town or where are you going?
Just Blackfoot.
Oh, all right. See you later.
Where you going?
Back at the shop. I wasn't doing nothing in your kitchen. We needed a new backing plate for the main hydraulic hose. This one had it, so Matt went up to Industrial Metal, and they said they couldn't get it probably till Monday, but lo and behold, they cut this out on the water jet for us. This is a piece of stainless. We don't have to do anything with it, but put it on and use it, which is totally awesome. Love those guys. Knocked the bearing out. Dumbass. Nice going. Okay, end of week 34. Moving right along. No, I think you're good. This old girl sat here all night long. Look at that. Not a drop anywhere. Clean as a whistle. Way to go. Okay, number 2's out of intensive care. Number 1's in now. So, what I got to do to this old girl, this one's getting a switchblade turbo, but the manifold leaks like a screen door. I'm just not impressed with the quality of Cat's manifolds, and even the mechanics at my dealer are telling me the same thing. So Cat, if you're listening to this, you need to do some quality control. Whatever the company is that bought out Blackhawk Casting, they are not making Blackhawk Casting quality manifolds. So what I got to do is take it out, and we'll have to sleeve it until we get the proper fit on the ends where they slip in. Anyway, the other issue we have going on with this one is the rear engine is a 3306B. That's a turbocharged and after-cooled engine. I got that out of a wood chip grinder that caught on fire. Had like 200 hours on it. It's been a really good engine. But the fuel system has a terrible, awful leak up under there. So I have the mechanic who worked on these mechanical fuel systems at my Cat dealer, who's now retired. He's going to come down and help me with that and get it sealed up. The other issue is we got one of them leaking 50 MT starters in there. That's got to go. I want to put a 39 MT in there. I'm just tired of them starters. Jake's going to pull the tail rollers off and reseal them, floor rollers, bearings, seals, whatever they need. Make sure that they're set up to grease. We really don't have any hoses on this one to deal with. Everything's been replaced on it. The only other problem I have is right there. If you look on the end of that steering cylinder, there's a bolt missing. And it's broke off, so I got to try to drill that and easy out and get a new bolt in it. So I went up to Industrial Metal to get these. I've got a bolt I got to get out of the steering ram on the scraper, and I'll show that to you. But I went up there and I bought this set of punches. These are really cool because they start out at 1/2 inch and then they go up in 64ths to all these sizes. So I got a 7/8 bolt I got to get out, but the hole where it goes through is going to be larger. So this is the size I'm going to use. Anyway, that whole set was only $78. They got a lot of stuff up there, a lot of really cool stuff that I want. So this is the 29/32 one. See, you got 7/8 threads in here, but this hole's going to be a little bit bigger than 7/8. So that's the size I needed to fit in there good and snug to mark that. See? Antices does pay off. Okay, new bolt with antices on it. Now let's get out the zippy gun. Do this one-handed while holding the camera and the impact. Voila, fixed. So this is the punch that I used, and it's a 29/32. Anyway, like I said, that hole was like 7/8, but you got to have a little bit bigger, and that's what's cool about this is it goes up in like 64. So for transferring holes, I did that one time. I shortened the frame on my Mack truck, and I spent tons of time on my lathe down there at the hangar making some different size little bushings with holes in them that I could put a spring-loaded center punch in to try to transfer holes. For $78, this was worth every penny, the amount of time that it saved me. I had this bolt out in probably less than 5 minutes, and thank goodness I put anti-seize on it. This bolt has been broke off for years, and had I not put that on there, we'd have played heck trying to get it out. And other than that, we don't really have any oil leaks on her. She's pretty clean, and she's got nice paint on it still. She looks pretty good. And we call this one number one. This is a 65M 574, and the scraper's a 64M 481. Ask me how I remember all those serial numbers. I ain't got a clue. I just do. I can't recite the 336 serial number, but I can tell you everything else. So the filthy whore is over here getting a couple more hoses changed out. Number 2 is done out of here. Got the rear engine in it. We haven't seen one stinking drop of oil leak out of that. Now she's tight. The only other thing I'm considering doing is taking this cylinder off, taking the head in, and have D at S&G modify this one like I did on number 2 out here, update it for the new seals and no more of the U-cup seals that replace the packing. The other thing I'd really like to do is get rid of those 2 oil filters and put a remote mount up there. I don't know, we'll see if we have time or not. Okay, fellers, I need a mechanic that knows an 05 W900B Kenworth. So I noticed I had some LEDs glowing in my Jeep trailer lights, and I tried to unplug the connector and it's fried in there. And then I looked around on this side, and holy cow, it's burned the plug in, and it's even burned the brake line in two. And then I looked over here, and this is a marker light wire that's all cremated, so I'm assuming this is what caused it and melted all that stuff together. But my question is, after that burned it, the truck's sitting with the key off. Why do I have power here still? And why were those tail lights glowing? Do I have a problem inside the truck now? So here's the carnage. This thing's totally melted together. So I reached out to Doug Smith down in Utah, and he had Thaddeus talk to me. Thaddeus works for him, and he's their expert on electrical stuff. So what I did is I came home and I checked the connector at the back of the cab, and I have discovered that I have electricity in the ground circuit, which explains this. This is the ground out of the harness that mounted to the neck. So somewhere inside the truck or in that loom, I am putting voltage to the ground circuit. So I got to start isolating things and figure that out. But hey, Doug, Thaddeus, thank you so much for the help. I really appreciate it. Okay, figured out our problem. It was dumbassery 101. Do you see something wrong here? That's the ground wire that goes to the trailer, and it's hooked to the hot terminal. It should be hooked to the ground. So when I had it in the shop and did the thermostats, somehow I hooked that to the hot terminal. So we're putting lots of amperage to the trailer. That's why it burned down. So this is the awesome manifold that we can't make it seal. So we're gonna go take it and see if they can sleeve it. Hey, check this out. So that's called the new scroll system. That's what's on the back of that 3306B. It's a direct inject 3306. But we got her scattered on the bench. And it's a good thing that we took it apart to reseal it. There's the collar that the governor arm pushes on. You can see how bad that was worn. And then this is the set of forks that pushes on that. So what I did here is I called Hal, who did all the fuel systems at my dealer for the last 30 years. He's retired now, and I asked him to come up and give me a hand with this, and he said he'd love to. So he came up last night and he disassembled it so we could see what else we needed to order. So I'm going to get that ordered this morning. Anyway, I want to say thank you to Hal for doing this. This guy, he could do this blindfolded. The speed he took that apart, disassembled it, and examined everything was just incredible. So I've got these two housings cleaned up and blown dry here this morning. He's going to come later this morning and start to assemble it, and hopefully we can get the few other parts that we need. My dealer did have all the seals and gaskets and everything for it, but we are going to replace the governor shaft in it. And let's see what else. Oh, probably some governor weights, and that collar that you saw wore out. Anyway, looking forward to watching him put this back together. I told him if this was me doing it, it would have taken me probably a couple hours to get it apart, spread out all over. I have never worked on this type of fuel system, so it's awesome to sit there and watch him work and ask questions. Really cool. So anyway, we're moving along on number one here. We got some more parts coming in today. Jake's waiting on some bearings for the floor rollers. We've got to buy another bearing cage for the output shaft on the transmission. This one's kaput, and the output yoke needed metallized real bad. So hopefully we'll get that fixed up. That was a terrible leak. We brought it in the shop, and it just peed all over the floor overnight. So anyway, I'm hustling. So here's a little quick update on the fuel system. So Hal came down yesterday and he put together what he could. Got a new governor shaft, replacing this collar. This is the old one. Remember seeing that? That is wore out. Anyway, he's gonna stop by the cat dealer and pick up the parts that we need, and then come on down and finish assembling this. We'll get that back on. The machinist just called, said he's got the manifold done and the output shaft for the rear transmission, so we can seal that up. And my son left me a note up there not to leave any paper towels in anything. So I tend to have a problem with that. They don't run too good when you fill them exhaust ports full of paper towels and try to start it. You have to floor it and start a fire, and then they come out the exhaust pipe on fire, flaming. Got that bolt done, you saw that. So we're moving right along. Can't wait to get done with this and get out of here. We've got a canal we got to go move with the excavator. So maybe midweek you'll get to see us moving some dirt. And then John Miller in Michigan sent me an awesome device that we're going to get on the excavator and start using that. And he's going to come out and show us how to set this up and how to use it. This is going to be interesting, so stay tuned for that. What does this guy think he's doing?
What? You haven't ever seen me work before?
No.
Especially when I got a beer in my hand, man. Never seen anything like it. Too many cattails, man. Cattails everywhere. I gotta kill them.
Who are you impersonating today?
My job's kill a cattail. Gotta kill them. Yeah. They're over here, not over here. Over here.
Who are you impersonating this day, Steve?
Steve.
Hey, good Friday morning to you, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Whiteboard. I have printed out all the comments from the last video, so I have lots of names. Appreciate you doing that. Best way to get on the whiteboard now is wait till I run out of names again. I'll ask you again to put them down and I'll print them out again. So I want to start out with a young man named Justin Young from London, Kentucky. Thank you for subscribing, Justin. Alex Schultz, he's from Missouri. Thank you, Alex. And Julian Guzman, he's from Mission, Texas. Thank you, Julian. Dick Sanders over in England. Thank you for watching, clear over there. Graham Bradfield, he's from Leighton in the UK. Thank you, Graham. Michael Brown, he's from Queensland, Australia. He spent 35 years. You guys call them fitters, we call them mechanics. Anyway, he says he loves to watch other people work, so I hope you've been enjoying watching me work, because I've been working pretty hard. Tom Hyslop, and he's from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Thanks, guys, for subscribing. Want to thank you for supporting my channel and buying the hats. I've shipped out a ton of hats, the Flex Fit, the Anderson hat. I've shipped out a lot of Old Kenny hats, so if you want some more of them, go to www.jpaydirt.com. That's in the description below. Old Kenny coloring books, thank you for continuing to support the gentleman who receives the money off of this. And also too, I've shipped out a ton of calendars. Still got a lot of the equipment calendars and the swimsuit calendars. Lots of cool pictures in my calendar. This is all my stuff. These are all my pieces of equipment. If you remember that one, out on the desert, loading cinders, hauling cinders. Just lots of cool pictures in here if you enjoy equipment from Jpaydirt. So, hey, thanks for watching. Check me out on Facebook, Jpaydirt, and also on Instagram under Jpaydirt.
You know I love this life I lead.